as the White House has issued a warning to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, claiming it has potential evidence that Syria is preparing for another chemical weapons attack on its own people. Press Secretary Sean Spicer says such an attack would likely result in the mass murder of civilians, including innocent children. Spicer says, quote, if, however, Mr. Assad conducts another mass murder attack using chemical weapons, he and his military will pay a heavy price. Well, the Trump administration did launch a missile strike on a Syrian-controlled Air Force base back in April in retaliation for a chemical attack.
Well, for more on this, let's bring in Kristin Tate. She's a contributor for The Hill. She's the author of Government Gone Wild. Kristin, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
So, a bit of a surprise announcement last night. You know, the White House coming out and saying if Assad conducts another mass attack, chemical weapons, he'll pay a price. But what's more fascinating is that it seems like the other agencies, whether it was the CIA, the NSA, they were unaware. What do you make of that?
Yeah, you know, ultimately the United States is in Syria to take out ISIS, but now the White House has found potential preparations by Assad to launch a chemical weapons attack against civilians, which could include women and children. And Trump has made it very clear that if Assad does this, he is going to regret it. And Trump's warning should be taken very seriously because, as you remember, back in April, Trump followed through and he proved that he is a man of his word by approving military actions against Assad after he used chemical weapons back then. So I think this is important, and then Assad needs to take these warnings seriously.
And President Trump got into international praise for those actions back in April. Since we've seen a series of confrontations in the region between U.S. and pro-Assad forces in Syria. So does this new warning from the administration, does this warning to Syria mean the White House is also sending a strong message to Russia and Iran?
Oh, absolutely. It sends a strong message to the world, really. You know, military strikes, they prove our interest, and they prove that red lines are red lines again. I mean, look at under Obama, there was no red lines, and I think people are proud to finally have a president who follows through and does what he says he's going to do. And as you mentioned, back in April, he got bipartisan support for his actions. People like Marco Rubio, who fiercely disagreed with Trump on foreign policy during the campaign, praised his actions. And even Democrats like Nancy Pelosi said the appropriate action was taken. But the most interesting reactions are coming from Trump supporters who tend to be very mixed on this because Trump ran against, you know, as a candidate, he said that he did not want to be, you know, have a lot of intervention in the Middle East. And now he's kind of taking a more hawkish approach. So you have some Trump supporters who are happy that we have a man of action in office, but then you have others saying, hey, we don't want to be involved over there.
Kristin, but really quick before we let you go, my initial question is that this announcement came from the White House last night, but it took the security agencies by surprise. That's a different tactic than what the president used back in April. What do you make of this kind of split, if you will, between the White House and, let's go with the NSA, Homeland Security, for instance?
Well, I think it just shows that you never really know what's going to happen in the Trump administration. But I'm glad that we have, the White House is aware of what's going on, and they will follow through on their actions. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. All right, Kristin, thank you very much.
Thank you, Cheryl, and thank you, Lauren.